Hello there. So today I wanted to talk about Rails performance and especially N+1 queries. Big topic because it's so easy to add N+1 queries and not even realize that you did so. My approach to performance is very special. I don't usually try to optimize things before production unless it's the optimization is super clear and straightforward. Otherwise, just go to production and then you see what happens. And this is what's happening in production right now for the Cherry app. So there has been 48 timeout errors in the last 24 hours and 3,500 memory errors in the same time period. So this is what Heroku tells me. So the infra is showing me just a little bit of information, but nothing much. So I wanted to show you how you can do to detect these kind of issues. So you're facing a performance issue, you don't know where it comes from. So right now I use Sentry. So if I go to the performance tab, profiling, I have more info about different endpoints, and they have a AppDex that is similar to what we used to have on New Relic. It's just like a pain score for the user. But what's more interesting in Sentry is that they actually create issues directly from the N+1 queries that you are facing in production. So here, if I go see this one, for instance, is metrics controller index. When you can see the params that have been passed. So here you can see that we specify a metric ID as well. So we can go there and start debugging. But if you don't have Sentry and you have a Rails app, there is something that is pretty cool. So you can use the bullet gem that is there exactly for this help to queue N+1 queries, and you used eager loading, so the opposite as well. So usually you solve N+1 queries by eager loading data. It's a simple fix, but if you do that when you don't want to, you can slow down your queries as well. So you don't want to do that. It tries to remind you of both. So let's get started by adding the bullet gem, even though we could go straight to the fix with the information that we already have here. But I'm going to show you how to set this up real quick. So in your app, you can go to the gem file. Let me just make sure I don't have any changes. Yeah. And inside the development, that's only needed for development. So we can add the bullet gem here. And so we're going to be able to bundle, install, and then we can run this installation script from the gem. Do you want to have it in test environment? You can activate that if you want to. I'm gonna say yes. So I'm gonna see here, they added this to my test and they didn't add anything to dev, which is weird. I don't know why. That should have been added. Enabled bullet in development, but I just did it manually. Weird. But so I'm activating it here. I'm saying to raise so I can see it very clearly when I'm running dev. And now let's go ahead and restart the server. So we can launch the server. We come here to the page that whatever page, but this is the page where it's the first page where you connect to Cherry, and that's where we call this endpoint that was facing issues as well. So now you can see that the response fails. You have a 500 error, and when you go see the response, it says that eager loading detected, add to your query includes project. It's so easy to just copy and paste stuff. I don't recommend doing that. Try to understand what's going on. Let's see the request itself. So in the headers, you can see that we're just requesting the user metrics JSON with no params. So if you go to the user metrics controller, in the index, we don't pass any params. So if project is only present if, so we are in this case. So current user matrix as JSON, and we use the project while building the response. And that's probably the issue here. So if you just includes here the project and you refresh the page, then this should be fixed. And we don't have an N+1 anymore. How can I show you that we had an N+1? Another way to detect, so an even simpler way without the bullet gem. I'm gonna remove this. I'm gonna deactivate the gem. So I'm commenting this. No, this is on test, and this is on dev. And so we're gonna relaunch the server so it doesn't fail. And I'm gonna just refresh this page. So it's not gonna fail, it still works, but when I go to my terminal, look at this. All of these, each one of these lines here are a query. They're pretty fast, but there are too many of them. So you can see that here we have a request to project. It tells me exactly from which line it's coming from last report. And if you scroll up, there are too many of them. If you scroll up, well, at some point you should be able to get to the controller code. Well, here you go. So it says it comes from here. And now if we do just a fix that we had done before, and I'm cleaning this up and I'm gonna refresh this page, you can see that the project's requests have disappeared, but the reports requests are still here. And now I think it's gonna get complicated, and I don't know how to solve this because I don't think if we add reports, this is gonna fix anything, because last report is a method that's being defined inside the metric here, and it's gonna make another request. We need to sort the reports and then pick the last one. We could load everything in memory, but I don't think we want to load every report from every metric in memory just to pick the latest one. What we could check is if it's used in the front end. So let's see if it's actually used. Last report is only used by the metrics table. The metrics table is used in this page. That's the page we're at, the projects page. And it's only shown when we have a project ID in the URL, which is not the case, so which is great news. So if I just remove this and refresh, that should still work perfectly. And we should not have all of those queries anymore. I'm gonna do it again. There you go. It's pretty good. Pretty decent amount of queries. I think I'm gonna start here for this video. Feel free to ask any questions about query optimization. I'm going to share the link to an article that I wrote before with the details of how to implement, how to add the bullet gem, things that you could do to fix most common N+1 cases. And that's it. Let's commit directly to production. So I can share the link in the description below as well. Here it's a fix N+1 on metrics index, and we commit to master.